Hey, and we're unmuted. It's amazing. We got to be unmuted. I'm surprised they gave us that responsibility. So, hi, I'm Steve Soleil. This is Brian Stith and Josh Harmon and Brad Stith and Brad Esplin. And we are here as your hosts for Scottmas, the final day of the 12 Days of Scottmas, and this is actually Scott's birthday. It's December 17th, Scott's birthday. So this is the final day of Scottmas. We want to welcome you all here. The first thing I want to do is I want to talk about that we have an online auction, and a lot of people may have been part of it, and you may have been on there. Some of you may not have been. If you haven't been on there, go on there to scottesplin.afrogs.org. You'll find it, log in, and start bidding. There's a lot of auction items. In fact, there's a lot of great auction items that are there, and we want to kind of point out a couple of them that I think still need to be probably bid on really well. And we've got a Bend trip, right?
Yeah, Bend golf trip.
Bend golf trip. We've got golf with a pro in Sun Valley. That is going to be a hell of a trip. You get to get a round of golf with someone who gets to tell you everything you're doing wrong, which should be super fun. And 2 nights, right, Josh?
Correct.
2 nights in Sun Valley. We've got, scroll back up, there's one more that we've got a year gym membership that at Grove Fitness. It's a hell of a gym. So, somebody needs to bid on that and really pump that up. Cornhole set, which we've got over here. Got a great snowboard from 44 North Vodka, super cool. We can bid that up as well. And then the Wake surfboard that currently my brother's the highest bid on that I'd love to see him outbid on. So let's bid those up as well. And then we've got tickets to a Trailblazers and Suns game in Phoenix for the hopefully first season we can go back in person, right, Brad?
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right. So those are some of the things. That's why we're here. Is we're here to raise money for the foundation that we created in memory of Scott. That's what our mass say, the Scholarship Foundation. You want to talk a little bit about the foundation?
Well, we're just trying to replicate some of what Scott had to deal with in college. He went to University of Idaho and ran track. He was a triple jumper and did not get a scholarship, so he spent a lot of time working a lot in the summer to save up enough money to get through and not have to take on a part-time job and drop track. And so that's kind of the niche of students we're trying to reach out to, is kids that aren't getting a full ride scholarship, maybe a partial scholarship, and they're having those same thoughts. Maybe I should just work and I'll just go to school and work and I won't be able to run track. And so we want them to keep their ambitions and look forward to the track and not have to worry about the finances and pulling them away from that passion. So that's the group that we're looking at.
To get their education at the same time.
Yes.
So it's very important. It was super important to Scott, I know, as a track coach. Mm-hmm. It always irritated him when he had kids that got partials that couldn't end up going to school.
Yeah, which in the case from most of our kids here in the Treasure Valley, that's what they deal with. Especially in track and field, it's very difficult to get a full ride scholarship. You've got to be almost All-American status out of the city of Boise to be a full ride track athlete, especially at the higher levels. So anything we can do, all the 20 years I've been coaching, all the years Scott's was coaching, none of his kids got full rides. And again, a lot of the kids that Scott worked with, they went to really good schools. He's at Boise High School, really good academic institution here in town for a high school, and a lot of the kids that he had ended up getting to really, really good educational opportunities. But at the end, they still were strapped with a lot of bill remaining after their scholarship was out there.
Yeah.
And so this is something that will really, really help a lot of the local kids here in town. Even if it's small amounts, that $1,500, $2,000, it's going to help a lot of kids with an opportunity to take some burden off of them and make them and their parents. So
Yeah.
it's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing that Scott was a big part of Scott's life was actually bartending. And I think we all visited him in the bars that he bartended over the years. So as part of a way to honor Scott and bring some of that to us is that we have our own in-house bartender, Corey. And if you've been watching the Facebook page, we've had 12 drinks of Scottmas.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and so Corey's he's gonna go ahead and demo a couple of different. I think we got 4 drinks through the time here that we're gonna have him do. And the first one is gonna be a lemon drop. Is that right, Corey?
First one is a lemon drop, and I would really love to hear the story too when you guys get around to it. Thank you for letting me be a part of Scott's special day and all of your special day, and I'm honored to be here. And our first drink is the lemon drop, and so we've got a little bit of a twist on it this time. But so of course, first of all, just get your ice going there. Now you can pick any vodka, and most of the time with a lemon drop, they're going to use just a regular vodka. Well, we're going to be using a local Huckleberry vodka this time around. And you're going to want 2 ounces. Or, whatever you're feeling like. But this is just get your 2 in there. And then get your triple sec going as well. Now you're going to use a ½ ounce, so just a half of one of those shot glasses for the triple sec. And then your 1 ounce of lemon juice, hence the lemon drop. So we'll get that in there. And your simple syrup is another 1 ounce. So just go ahead and fill that shot glass one more time on the simple syrup. Now go ahead, put your top on there, or you can just stir it up.
Always get me messed
or you
up.
can drink it straight out of the bottle.
Oh, the
You know,
sugar.
really whatever's feeling good for you. But if you take your glass then, to do it right, go ahead and just rim that with your lemon, put it in sugar, pour it on in there, and you're ready with your lemon drop right there. All right, guys, who's ready for a lemon drop?
Brett was. He was really,
Yeah,
Brett's
Brad.
ready
so
for the
good.
lemon drop.
love lemon
All right,
drops.
they're being delivered and everything.
Oh wow, look at that.
So first of still 3 more, but guys,
Big lemon.
here's the Scott.
To Scotty.
Scotty.
Yeah, that's a large lemon drop.
That's a big lemon drop. Hopefully it didn't land
That's
on your
tasty.
foot.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we've got a movie that a video we're gonna show. Is that right? We do. Excellent.
Merry Scottmas to each and every one of you. Appreciate you being on Scott's page to help raise money for the foundation. My kind of Scott piece of it is one where I've got so many stories from him being our bartender for New Year's Eve and not only making drinks for everybody else, but drinking at the same time. And he ended up sleeping over as we both passed out on the couch to on the golf course, and him tearing up a golf course and the grounds crew having a lot of work to do after that, or nights in Vegas where Scott was the man and knew everybody there and got us through. But the thing that I would say that just warms my heart about Scott is one word, and it's presence. If you were Scott's friend, he was always present. He was always your friend, no matter what it was, no matter how much time went in between connecting. He was always there, always present, always checking in. I miss that. It's one that I will certainly carry with me always, and that if I can try to live up to where he was and be that kind of friend to the people around me, then I will have done his name proud. I miss you, Scotty. I love you. And again, thank you to everybody on here for helping to raise money. It makes a huge difference, so thank you.
Thanks, Fletch. That was awesome. Good to see you too. It's been a while. So as you can see, we brought up a couple of things up front. We've got the cornhole that I think he kind of sucked at that, by the way.
Yeah, he was horrible.
I know, because I always beat him. So
He's a track athlete for a reason. Anything
I
to do with
know.
his arms wasn't.
it wasn't good.
Legs
So
good, arms bad.
this is actually a great tribute because it should be a really high bid item because he would appreciate the irony of it. So if you've been following the Facebook page, we've got the 12 Days of Scottmas. And in there, every day's got its own theme, of course. And so day 12, the first day that we did, was 12 drinkers drinking. And I really don't know that there's any point in time in his life that there isn't at least 12 drinkers drinking that we could tell a story about. Whether it be college, because before that, you don't drink. You don't drink before you go to college, kids.
Right.
Before you're 21.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So don't do that.
It was not until his junior year
Right.
in college.
We're very responsible. All those pictures are at least junior year and older. So, I mean, you got great stories. I mean, look, I have to say, I am very fortunate to be married to my beautiful wife. And if it wasn't for Scotty, I wouldn't have met her. Because Scotty worked at the Reef. And I hung out at the Reef all the time when Scott was bartending there. And I just happened to be there and be fortunate to be there the night that she was there and we met. So that was that's a Scotty too.
Yeah.
So love you, Jesse. And I'm glad you were hanging out at the Reef. What do you guys got? Give us a story. How about a Pike story? There's got to be at least one.
One that you can tell.
One that you can tell.
We did a lot of work in the community.
We're big philanthropists.
Right.
That's not a lie. We did.
I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were.
So, yeah, I think that's the only Pike story you're going to get. So,
All
Wait,
right.
community service, like with the orange vests and stuff? Or?
no. Not that much community service. Like stuff we actually got to choose to do versus not choose.
Him and I was up there for about, it felt like 2 weeks. Maybe it was 3 months. And we went to a thrift store once and bought, it wasn't even a costume party. We just decided that we would just buy the craziest stuff that we could find. And showed up at some party with, I can't remember do you remember what we were wearing? Do you remember that night?
It was awful.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That's where the
We were broke,
bright,
though.
Well, yeah, but that was where like the bright orange
Yeah.
button down came from. The baby blue with the leopard print.
Yep,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that thing was horrendous, and he loved it.
we look good.
You guys look great.
I stole the dragon the next day, by the way. That's what the shirt's called.
Yeah,
I almost wore it tonight. Still have it in my closet. It spoke to me this morning. It's like, you really should wear me tonight. I'm like, it's not that kind of night, buddy. So,
Yeah.
No, there were. I think if there's anything, if we're going to 12 drinkers drinking, if there's any moment from college that actually references 12 people, intoxication, small quarters, Scott's room was probably where that happened. We'll keep this as family friendly as possible, but the Blue Iguana was the name of Scott's.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. You have no idea, do you? Yeah, Josh Mix.
It's like Fight Club, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Josh may have woken up in that room a couple of times. But it was definitely where we started the night, on the majority of the evenings in lovely Moscow, Idaho. And believe it or not, it was at the top of the house, and the ratio was always good. And Scott had determined who got to come in the room and who didn't, and he definitely didn't like his fraternity brothers as much as he liked people who lived outside of the house with long hair and pretty eyes and that type of thing.
it's okay to say like girls, bro.
Yeah.
He did like girls.
He did like girls.
Still okay to say
He
that.
liked girls and girls liked him.
Yes,
It's
they
okay.
did. And so, there was a time where you could definitely know where there was a room full of co-eds having a good start of their evening. The Iguana was definitely the kickstart to 12 drinkers. That'd be a 12 drinkers drinking place for
Yeah.
sure.
I think the biggest thing, though, I like the alliteration, but the biggest thing that Scotty was able to do was really bring people together. And so, 12's probably short-sighted, quite frankly, but it's one of those things where you look across, like especially spans of how people met people and how many people he was able to connect. It's pretty remarkable. So,
Yeah, it is. It is, absolutely.
without question.
I
Yeah.
watched Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo, in that room for the first time. It was really good.
And this is why we can't have nice things.
I think that's a great segue down to day 11, which is 11 lost golf balls. Which, as we all know, we've all golfed
Yes.
a lot with Scott. The perfect statement of golf for Scott, I heard, was, I think he even said, "I love golf. Golf does not love me." And that's really sums it up.
That's about
And-
as honest as he could have been.
And to be clear, I never saw him lose 11 golf balls on one hole ever.
No. In a round for sure,
Oh, no.
without a doubt.
Oh, on 9 for sure, but never on one hole. I'm not going to throw him under the bus that bad.
No.
The last tournament we played in together, I was out at Spurwing for a fundraiser, and he'd gone up to the tee box, and he'd forgotten a ball. And I go, here you go, and I threw it at him, and he catches it, and he looks at it, and he goes, "Ryan, this is too nice of a golf ball for me. There's a good chance it's not coming back." He threw it back at me, and he goes, "You got a piece of crap I can hit." I loved his approach. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. The summer of 18, I remember we went with Brett to the ranch, and he came straight to my house after, and he was just so jacked because he actually finished the round with the same ball he started, and it was the first time ever. He's like, he literally showed up at the front door, and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What?" I figured it was a hole-in-one. He's like, "No, it's the same ball I started with."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got him for Christmas. I got him some lessons because it's like you gotta get. I'm like, I can't tell you. I don't know what to do. And we had golfed, and I'm like, "Hey, when are you gonna use those lessons?" Like, "I've had 2 already, man." I was like, "Oh, it's amazing the progress I see."
What's funny is the way he told me that story about those lessons is he's like, "Brett got me lessons for Christmas." I was like, "That's awesome. That's cool." He's like, "Yeah," he said, "if I'm going to keep golfing with him, I have to take them."
Oh man.
Oh, well, if we can talk about golf quite a bit, but we'll move to day 10. So 10 Tar Heels. Man, that guy loved the Tar Heels, especially for not going to school there.
No, and it was probably his infatuation with the ability to. He could dunk,
Right?
and he was a pretty good dunker. And
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter. If there's anything that sent him over his Tar Heel fandom and fanaticalness, it was Vince Carter. There was nothing more than Scott. I mean, he didn't miss a Vince Carter game that was on ESPN. I mean, he didn't. I mean, he was crazy about that guy, and anytime like when he'd throw a huge dunk down, it was unreal. And I remember him telling the story about him seeing. I wasn't with him when Vince Carter dunked in the Olympics, which is the most famous dunk of his career. But I remember Scott telling me about what he was doing when he watched it, and
When he jumped over the dude?
yeah, when he jumped
Yeah.
over the guy's head,
Yeah.
and it's like Scott like, "Can you believe he did that?" I'm like, "Well, no, but he did," and he was just every time he talked about the Tar Heels, Vince Carter, and then he was sucked in for life.
Oh, yeah.
He was sucked in for life.
Yeah, he was with me in the front room when that happened because we literally left. We just left the building. We just walked out of the house. We're just like,
It's over.
it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, never going to see anything better than that. So he loved the hills to a point. And then Michelle moved out to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And Scott took a bus from here to North Carolina because he was that hell-bent to get there, number one. And he had a great summer. I mean, met a ton of people, hung out with Mikey the whole time. Really got to spend some time. I've got awesome pictures from that summer when he was back there. So when he got back, like any doubt that he was going to be the most fanatical Tar Heel fan that, growing up, we've been pretty fanatical. He was way over the top at that point, right?
Yeah.
And then back in 07, I was lucky enough to have a pretty good friend that could get some pretty good seats for North Carolina. So he was nice enough to do that. It was for my birthday present. So was able to take a group of guys out and
Did you guys go? Did you get invited on the trip? Were you and me? Or you?
No.
No, I
His
did
best
not.
friends went.
That's weird. Anyway. But yeah, we went to Duke UNC, and Scott was a kid in the candy store. Like,
I'm sure.
first time walking through the museum, like, couldn't wipe the smile off that kid's face. So it was, those were good times.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Dean Dome or Cameron?
Oh,
Dean Dome. Yeah.
definitely at UNC, baby.
So I would every now and then just fly for a weekend, and we'd hang out for a couple days in Vegas, and then fly home. And most trips to Vegas for young men in their 20s are pretty exciting. Scott and I went to Pro Image Sports, and we bought North Carolina beanies in Vegas, wool beanies. They're pretty cheap over there.
Yeah.
And proceeded to sit on his couch and watch sports all weekend long. And it was fantastic. I actually still have that beanie. This is probably 15 years ago. But and he taught me how to bet on sports. I never knew how to bet on sports until I met Scott. And now I have a problem.
That's another podcast. Oh. All right, well, we're going to move on to a video from Scott's other brother, right? Not you. This isn't your video.
Nope.
No.
I don't think so.
So we're going to let that run, and we'll be back in a minute.
Hey guys, this is Anthony. I'm Scott's brother. This is my wife Jenny.
Hi, Merry Scottmas. We just wanted to share one of our favorite memories of Scott. It's just a funny story from when he lived here in Las Vegas. We have 4 kids. You can see their pictures over there. Cord, Gus, Homer, who's filming, and Elwin as our newest addition. But at the time when Scott lived here, we just had our oldest 2, Cord and Gus. And every time he would come over, Scott would do the same thing, and we have no idea why. It would always kind of freak us out, and it was just kind of a funny thing. And so we're going to reenact that now. Elwin is going to play our 3-year-old son, Cord, and Poppy is going to be our precious newborn baby, Gus, who is only 3 months old and very fragile. Okay, everyone, take your voices.
Hey guys, what's up?
Oh, hey, Scott. How's
Hey
it going?
Cord, how are you? Oh, who's this little guy? Hey Gus, how are you? Woo, woo, let's check this out, man. Ooh, watch out for the fan. Oh, watch out. Scott's brother, and we're standing here in front of our Christmas tree. We had a lot of fun Christmas memories with Scott. He spent a couple Christmases with us in Vegas, and so needless to say, we were thrilled. When we were going through some of his stuff, that we got his really cheesy Yeti Christmas ornament. We got a couple of his ornaments here. This is probably his favorite, but probably close second would be this Boise State helmet that's hanging up here. Secretly his second favorite team. What?
What? He hates Boise State.
Huh? Oh, he loves Boise State. What are you talking about? All right, guys, it's Anthony again, Scott's brother. There's another story I was going to tell. So we were going through some of the stuff, and I found this awesome jacket. Look on the back, it says Netherlands. Me and Scott, one of the cool bonds that we share is that we were both born in the Netherlands. My dad was stationed in the Air Force over there, and so we were born there. Pretty cool jacket, so I saw this and I was like, dude, I totally have to have it. But when I put it on, I noticed this really weird thing. It zips up on the left side, man. It's a freaking girl's jacket.
We're not to the funniest yet.
No.
Great video. It's always nice to see a reenactment of what Scott would do. So that's funny. That's a good one. We're going to move to day 9. Probably the most controversial day, I think, because we've got what would be either pink. What was the other name?
No, we're not allowed to say that.
Panties is what it says up here. So what's the other one? Ponies. He's trying to cue it up.
Pink pony is what we changed it to.
Well, I know, but we left it at panties because I think it's funnier.
Well, yeah, but the problem is it. Yeah.
Right.
No.
So you can tell the story about the ponies, though. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, the ponies is nice and kind,
It is.
and someone bartending, when he offers someone a pink panty, might not get slapped so hard that he honestly said, "I'm gonna have to walk that one off," and literally bailed on me. And I'm like, well, you started it.
Right.
So, but ever since that one night, it was cold, by the way, the pink pony by far was Scott's favorite drink, for sure.
Absolutely.
And so, the biggest thing, I know this is 12 Days of Scottmas, and Scottmas obviously celebrating with the drink every day, but the truth of it is, Scotty actually didn't drink that often. I mean, at all. And so if he decided he was going to have a couple cocktails, he absolutely would be like, tonight I'm riding the pony. And we're like, oh boy. So anyway, because it probably meant 3, at least 3.
At least 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm staying away from this one.
What is this? We got a comment on social media that says the best and most famous. Oh, I got something. Anyway. Memory of Scott is the purple lingerie store. From Karen. From Karen Levin.
It's your sister.
That is my sister.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, I can't tell that one, babe. Love you, though. That's great.
No, she's trying to get us to go beyond our limitation of PG-13.
That's right. I can't do it tonight.
You have young children at home, Karen Levin. You make sure you go say a good story to them right now.
I want to hear the story of the next break because I don't think I've ever
We'll
heard
get it
it.
on the next break.
Yeah,
How about that? We'll get it on
thank
the
you.
Once we know our mics are muted, we'll get the story. There you go.
I have. Okay.
All right. Are we doing? We're doing a bartending demo for the Pink Panty. There you go.
Pink panty, pink pony, whatever you're calling it tonight. This one's pretty easy, but it's a lot of fun, especially after a few of them. So you're just going to get your glass, 2 ounces of vodka, and as soon as you get that in there, here's where it gets tricky. Now, hang on, y'all. Club soda to nearly the top, and then a splash of cranberry, and there you have what I would hope would be potentially a Scott-approved pink panty / pony.
Yes.
Or a pony with panties. Whatever.
Actually, probably going to go with that from now on.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. Yeah, and then, I will say that there's some controversy around the cranberry and how much you put in.
It is a baby splash. It's
It's
a baby splash.
Because if you go to Brian, it's a big boy splash, and if you go to Scott, it's a baby splash.
It's a baby splash, 100%.
So
Yeah, bartenders will mess that up every time. You're like, a baby, just a little splash.
Because even if you say baby splash, then they're like, I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
that's
you
not a
said
baby
it.
splash.
It's
not.
You have to remake that.
It's hard.
yep. So anyway, you did fine.
That was perfect.
That was fantastic.
Very
That
good.
was
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, so day 8. So we have a couple of different. We decided there's a couple of different day 8s we could have. We've got 2 we're going to go through. One is 8 days, 8 months with alopecia. And I have to start with that one because it was just so funny when he was just.
Bald.
Yeah, well, when he wasn't quite bald. When he had like this patch of hair. Like, I don't understand why I don't have hair right here.
No, the excuses of why
Oh,
the
yeah,
hair was missing were phenomenal.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, I actually have most of it video. So, post going to Supercuts or wherever he went, it was somewhere, I'm not going to say where it was, but it's in Boise. He gets to my house just absolutely irate because he didn't see it, and then he was checking himself out in his rearview mirror, and he had a hole this big with no hair, and he hadn't had a haircut in a while, and he gets and he's just freaking out. He's like, "You got to get upstairs, and I can't believe she did this to me. Can we fix this?" He's like, "Look, she did it
right.
here." I'm like, "Dude," and because the thing was with the rearview mirror, he could only see the one. What he couldn't see was this one, which was 3 times as big as that one, and this one. And so I've got a video. We're upstairs in the master bathroom because I'm trying to fix it, and I'm like, "Dude, she didn't cut any of this."
I remember that now.
I'm like, at no point did this happen.
Yeah, this was not a razor mistake.
No. I'm like, I've got clippers in my hand right now. There is no way I could make what is going on here happen. I'm like, we need to go get that checked out right now. And so,
Yeah,
the next day he goes in, has alopecia.
shaves his head.
Yep. Wouldn't let me shave it.
Nope.
Did it at home by himself.
Yeah. He
Took
had
one
a
of
cool-
these.
Yeah, he had a mohawk. He had a
Yeah,
cool-
yeah.
that's right. He did work it for. It was pretty good. Couple of good pictures.
Self pictures there.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was out of the loop of this because we would get together for these Marvel movies, right?
Yeah.
And Scott and I were some of the first ones to show up for one of the movies we were getting together for at the top of the village,
Yeah.
right? And I had no idea. And so I walk up and I'm like, I'm thinking, why did you do that? Why did you shave your eyebrows and your hair? And so I'm like totally acting like, okay, this is cool. And then he tells me it's alopecia. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. Okay, I'm good. I'm with you now.
I understand shaving your head, but why would you shave your eyebrows?
Why did you say eyebrows? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You look like when Neo fell out of the Matrix thing when he was in the pod.
Well, because when he was shaving his head, he accidentally shaved one of them off, and he's like, dude, we got to take the other one now.
So
Yeah.
we'll move over. The other thing is, I think we'll combine those two later as we do it together as the original one was. But 7 weeks of jumping. That dude would come into the office or over to the house, and he'd be like, "Oh, I almost made it from one week to, I almost did it. I almost made it over. And, oh, damn, Brett, he just did this, and he's doing all this, and he's just doing it just to show me up."
Yeah.
This is every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Probably.
Absolutely every time.
Well, people would always like laugh at us, like, "Why do you wear a helmet?" And I'm like, And there was one time, I don't know if you guys have been water skiing or you've seen videos of somebody's going and they wreck and everybody on the boat goes, "Oh!" So he's had a lot of those. But one of them, I remember, tried to make the wake, didn't make it, wrecked, and all of us, so I just floor it, get back. It's like, that one hurt pretty bad, and he's getting out, and the helmet is blown in half. He cracked it in half. So he hit so hard, his face hit the water so hard it broke a helmet. And I was like,
Wow.
And so he just had a lot of those. We had a new helmet, obviously, after that, but yeah, I think that was one of his, I don't know, it was one of the funnest things that I had to do with him. He really liked it, and it's time to relax and see friends, etc., and be out there in the water. But yeah, he took it serious, that's for sure. It's a competition thing.
Maybe you could verify this, and maybe you too, because I think it was probably 3 or 4 years ago. Well, let's see, 3 years, probably 16 or 17. He was telling me a story about how he wanted to do the full.
Oh yeah.
Right?
No, the full 360?
No, full 360.
No.
It never happened. It never happened. But he came once, and he was just a little sore. And he's like, oh man, he goes, I almost made it. I was like, had it, and I turned it, and he goes, and I needed like 3 more feet. And I would have had it. I would have had the full, I was almost there. I actually think he cracked a couple of ribs.
Oh, probably.
Because he was just sore for probably a good month after that one. But he almost made it. I almost made it. And he'd say that all the time. I almost made it.
I mean, what honestly drove him the most nuts is the fact that Brett
could do it all the time.
And so, the fact that, the unsaid peer pressure, because I don't think you really pushed him that hard. He just wanted... You egged him on enough, I know.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the burden of a little brother.
Yeah.
Doing something.
Wow. Oh, we're going to go that route now.
All right, hey, what's next? I think we have a movie, don't we?
I hope we have a movie.
Yeah. What do we have? We got a movie coming up here? We do. All right, perfect. Let's roll that movie.
Scott's brother. This is kind of where it all started for Scott, at least high school sports, and his passion for high school sports and athletes and athletics. And he had a lot of really great coaches that he looked up to when he was younger, and he had a few that he really didn't like at all, but he still seemed to learn from that. And when he got older, he decided he wanted to give back, and so he volunteered as a coach and a mentor for so many kids and helped out so many other kids. One of the greatest memories I have with him in that is how he would take his time on the weekends, and even though he was coaching for Boise High, he would spend time with kids from other schools and help them. And his attitude was always that not that he wanted to have his kids be the best, but compete against the best. And so he really went out of his way to take care of every kid that he felt needed his help. And Scott was the kind of guy that if somebody couldn't afford a pair of shoes or didn't have the money to compete, Scott would find a way to make sure that they were there. And he really worked hard to try to help his kids get not only the mentorship they needed so that they could do well in school, but if they had the ability, he wanted to help them find a way to get to get to college on a scholarship. And he was always really frustrated by that because there was never really a lot of money for kids in track and field that were great athletes but couldn't get a full ride scholarship and sometimes couldn't go to school. And so that's really what this foundation is about. It's about helping kids get that second chance when maybe they don't have what everybody else has available to them. So this is a great foundation, it's a great organization, and an opportunity to really give back to the kids, just like Scott would want us to do.
It's obviously so mmany great stories about Scotty, and from family and friends from way back, and so many others that have been donating and doing all of the bidding on the auction items. Thank you so much. This foundation is going to be an amazing legacy for Scott. And so let's make sure and get all those bids in. Bid high, bid often, and we will make sure that his memory is going to be lived on, and all these kids doing all the things that he wanted. So if you haven't already, just text the word Scottmas. If you haven't had too many pink ponies or too many of the lemon drops, you can do this. It's okay. Go ahead and just send that text, Scottmas, to the number 22454. You'll get the link back and you can start getting bids on. And I know the guys are going to be going over some more of those items coming up here in just a moment. But here we go. Last couple of drinks, a couple more of Scott's favorites. And this one, okay, these two, I know they're going to be difficult, but I think you can manage. I have faith in you. So here we go. This one, just a vodka Red Bull, which is, well, kind of like the name says. It's vodka, it's ice, and it's Red Bull. So just fill that bad boy up however much that you would like, and that is really up to you on that one. And that is your vodka Red Bull. And then another one, and our final one, is the Captain and Sprite. And I believe this is Brett's favorite drink too. Is this? Yeah?
Not bad.
Is it? Okay.
You would think I combined the two, but they're good.
He has been over here a few times, so I think
captain
he's
needs
doing
no
okay
caffeine.
with this one. So again, very similar to that one. You're just going to have your 2 ounces of your spiced rum, Captain Morgan's or whichever one. Nobody's paying us, so we're not going to give endorsement to any particular one.
It was always Captain.
It was always Captain. Okay, it was Captain.
He has the
then.
best stance of all the spiced rums. So
He did. He had that kind of epic stance going on there. And then just grab your spice and your spiced rum, your Sprites, your ice, and you're ready to go. There you go. And I hope you give often. Please get your bids in. I'm going to send it back over to the guys for some more great stories.
Yeah, as you can tell by most of these recipes, he was a master of complex libations.
he did. It was. I mean, they were all originals.
They were.
Completely.
Yeah, for some reason he thought instead of going like 1 part, 6 parts, if
Right.
he just went half and half most of the time, it made
pour
him
at the
way
same
much
time.
better.
I really appreciate Corey's time over the last few weeks because we have worked tirelessly to get him trained on these drinks and how to make them. It's been, we really appreciate all the extra effort, Corey. We really do.
You are very welcome. Tireless effort.
It was long nights.
Thank you guys
Yes.
for letting me be a part of this very special
Absolutely.
day.
We appreciate it quite a bit. So we've got the auction going on. It does close at 9 o'clock tonight. And so we've got still quite a few items that are, I think, really great items that need some good bids, and we need to work it up. We've got that Sun Valley golf with a pro would be great. The Bend trip is amazing. We've still got a year membership at the Grove Fitness Club that somebody should bid on. Grab that one. It's a hell of a bargain right now, and that's a great club. So go on there. We can't let Jed Reese get away with buying the snowboard as cheap as he is right now. So I think someone should bid on that one as well. So bring it up. And the wake surfboard, that's another one that we need a good bid. Outbid my brother. So I currently have the tickets in Arizona, and no one needs to bid on that one.
I was actually thinking about doing that.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, knowing Matt, I'm surprised he hasn't outbid himself at this point.
I know, really. Exactly.
Whoa, Soleil.
I can't believe it. Yeah, so get on there, look at those as you're listening to this. Grab your loved one's computer or phone and get on there and look at the auction items so you can stay with us. Because we're going to move on to the next one, which is day 6 and 6 months in a boot.
He got the nickname Booty at Mass Mutual when he was working there. We ran into a bunch of his coworkers at a Boise State game, and they all go, Booty! That was from wakeboarding, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was another one of those peer pressure things, I think. He's the only one that couldn't do a back roll, which is a backflip. And we're like, just cut as hard as you can and jump as high as you can and just commit. And he's like, he'd come across and hit really fast and then back out, right before. And then he'd talk like we could hear him. We're like, try again. And then he would do it again. But this time he committed, but he did not make it. And yeah, he got a boot for it. My ankle hurts pretty bad. I'm like, and it was messed up. I don't know. Tendons.
It was bad.
It was bad.
It was a while. I remember actually seeing him. We went down to what's the pizza joint? Oh, Lucky
13.
13?
Yeah.
He came down there for something. We were together for a Vandal thing, and I remember him. We got lost, and he was upstairs, and there's a stairway coming down. And he's on crutches, and he's like, Brad. He's like hobbling down this crutch. He's like, Brad. He's falling down the stairs, and I was just like, ah. So yeah, it was a rough injury with him for sure. He was out for a while, for 6 months, I think, at least.
At least.
Wow.
It was quite a while.
He was pretty fearless.
Yeah.
He really was. Like, he didn't want to fight, but he would fight. Like, he would fight somebody for you.
Totally. Without a doubt.
That happened a few times, right, Beth?
Okay. No, I mean, it was fun. What's not? I mean,
I think that just had to do a lot with what he was up against all the time on the fearless side. Like just going to Alaska to work in the cannery.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like just deciding that that's what he was going to do because he wanted to get away from Boise, and somebody told him he was going to make a bunch of money, and he made good money, but he also came back with a lot of not doing this for the rest of my life type things, like never ate fish.
Eating fish, yeah, exactly.
21-hour days working.
Right.
Literally.
There's some horrible things from that, but again, none of us. I didn't know you at the time, but I know I knew you guys. You were still still in school, but we didn't have that type of vigor to just say, I'm getting on an airplane in Alaska and I'm going to go work at this cannery and live in this housing they provide and know no one. And he'd do that. And I remember the first time he went snowboarding. He didn't know how to snowboard, and he just would be like, "I'm going snowboarding." Like, you're what? He goes, I go, "Do you know how to snowboard?" He's like, "No." He goes, "But it looks like it's fun." So we went snowboard. I mean, there's a lot of people that I won't do that. No. I'm not that type of guy. And he would just do it. He'd just go up and do something. Who rides a bus from Idaho to North Carolina?
It was like 3 days.
Where his sister's,
It was 3 days.
And his sister's like, "No, really, I'll pay for a plane ticket," and he wouldn't let her,
No,
right? Like Mikey was willing to fly him out for the summer, and he's like, "No, I'm going to get on a bus with a bunch of," because that was Scott.
of all his choices, by the way, that was the one that he decided was probably not the best choice.
Probably. Yeah.
But he can nap anywhere, so I don't know what the problem was.
Like, if someone took me and put me in the 1930s, I would be dead within 3 days. But if you put Scott in the 1930s, he would just roll with it. Like, seriously, he could just, I'll figure it out. I don't need a shower. I don't need. He could just do it. He'd figure it out really quick.
He'd be like an idol or a king of some sort.
Totally.
Just running the whole town.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the court jester.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's a perfect segue of what you said of sleeping anywhere for day 5, which is 5 golden naps. Because that guy, I was so jealous of him. Like, he could go to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep. All right, asleep. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How the hell do you do that?
The couch naps.
Yeah, immediate.
Well, and the biggest thing though is, and he would do this all the time, is he'd be like, "Okay, I'm on my way over," and there would be 3 awesome games on the docket. It's you've got other people coming over, but he's like, "I'm on my way over," super excited, and he would be there 8 minutes before he was out. And then he would wake up in the middle, like it would be the fourth quarter of the second game, and he'd be like, "Where is everybody?" I'm like,
50 people have come and gone.
and if you wonder why they didn't sit on the couch, it's because of this.
He could really spread out too.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But when he was out, he was out. But no, he was the most epic napper I've ever met. So
Yeah.
these aren't made up.
No, and you could really tell when he was fully out because he could snore like nobody's business.
Yeah, that's what that picture's from. Is Cooper is sitting there on the 5 golden nap state, and Scott's asleep, and he was like sitting on my lap, and he snored, and he looked at me. Cooper looks at me, and he like laughs, and looks back at Scott, and he just starts walking over there, and he looks at me. I'm like, do whatever you want. And Scott wakes up like right before, he's like, don't do it. And he just like about to get him. So yeah, it was a good memory for me to put that picture up on there. So yeah, he definitely snored.
I've
Oh my
thrown
God.
so many things at him, and like pillows and.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then he would act like he was mad because you woke him up.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
right, exactly. Yeah, and we would travel for work, and we'd share a room, and he would just be out in an instant, and then he'd be snoring so loud, and I'd throw everything at him, and he'd act like was I snoring? I'm like, you know you were snoring. Knock it off. Oh, sorry. I'll move over.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So do you know why on day 4's 4 Gatorade Zeros? What was his deal with that? He loved them.
I don't know, man.
I hate them. I think they're so gross.
He'd come over and be like, hey, you want a G2 or a Gatorade Zero, or G2 is what the other one is.
Purple G2s.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm good. He's like, okay. And then he would go downstairs and get one out of my fridge, and I think he was just like guilty that I didn't want one. He's like, you sure, man? You sure? And then he'd be like, it's only 10 calories. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have one. And then he'd bring it up. I'm like, you didn't bring it? You just steal it? So yeah, we always stocked our basement fridge with G2s. He just always had them. I don't know.
We didn't drink soda.
No. No, Diet Dr. Pepper.
Oh yeah.
Religiously Diet Dr.
No,
Pepper.
we could go through a case of Diet Dr. Pepper
Yeah.
in a day.
Right.
But no, I mean, see, the whole thing with G2s though is it's also a placebo for him. So he didn't have to. If he was going to go out that night, he never wanted to start too early. So because, a G2 with 2 shots of vodka is not that different than just a G2.
That's probably true.
Correct.
And
Look at this one on the nap. This is funny.
From Andrea, it says, Uncle Scott and Andy used to babysit AJ and put her down for a nap, but he would be sleeping and AJ would be wide awake.
that is 100% true.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see. So we've got a few more videos we're going to show. We've got some videos from people that he worked with over at Ataraxis. So we're going to cut over to those videos, and we'll be back in a little bit.
Hey, ladies.
Hello.
Hi. So how exciting we get to kind of come together today and talk about Scott and just share a little bit about him, and what a perfect time, right? So who wants to start? It's Christmas time. It's Scottmas. So
Scottmas. Do you remember when we were all making our stockings in the office?
Oh.
What would that have been? Christmas 2018. I have a picture of it somewhere where everyone was doing these beautiful stockings with flowers and bells and whatever. And Scott comes and writes, Scottmas, buy me things.
That was my first Christmas at Ataraxis.
Was it really?
Yes.
Well, what I remember about Scottmas is just that I'm the type of person that likes a splash of coffee with my creamer. And he would always come in and he'd be like, put some Christmas in your cup.
Yeah.
And he was so cool about it though. He always let me use this creamer, and that just meant a lot to me. Because I always was without creamer.
I feel like he had that flavor though, like all the time.
Yes.
Not like he didn't just, I feel like he either stocked up because he was always like, hey, try this. And I was like, no. It was like peppermint or toothpaste, but
it was always in that horrible U of I mug. About that. It's like, ew. What are you?
We're vandals.
Right?
Aww.
Yeah. Speaking of holidays, I remember what was it, St. Patrick's Day, where we broke up into the teams.
Yes.
And we were the red team. And I just think that that memory is so good just because they put the most competitive people, I think, on one team.
Was that when you guys made your chant? Like you guys had to do a chant or something like that? Yeah.
And everything.
I think we started the beginning of the challenge with a shot of Tito's, we got a confetti gun, and we won.
Yes, we went all out, and Scott was on our team, and we were competitive too. We were all like just ready to just smash anybody.
Yeah, helps having a coach like Scott on that team, right? He was our coach throughout it.
He was our coach throughout life, period. Like, honestly, like I still remember the first day that I saw him or met him at work. It was during my interview with Steve. And then he sends Scott in there, and Scott just comes and sits down and just smiles at me. He just doesn't say anything. He's just smiling. And I'm like, okay, hi. I didn't know what was happening, but he was just like, he just smiled. And I'm like, oh, he's cute. Yeah, his vibe was amazing. It is irreplaceable.
Yeah, just having him around just was awesome. And at that time, I was working on site at at one of our larger clients, so I would just come in and out. But it just tripped me out how much he always made me feel like special and like I was missed and like I was so needed, even when I just came in periodically, you know. And one thing that he used to always do is put gum on my desk. I didn't know. He'd buy me packs of extra polar ice and he'd leave them on my desk. And for the longest time, I didn't even know who was doing it. And then I just remember walking around like, and I seen him and he was like, oh, so you got the gum? And I was like, yeah, like you've been, he was doing it for the longest time. And I was like, what the heck? But I remember having a conversation with him explaining that gum like relaxes me, kind of like cigarettes relax other people.
Oh.
I was like, gum calms me down. And when I have a stressful day, I like gum. And he just started putting them on my desk. And I just was like, man, this guy is bomb. Like,
he was so supportive.
What about Valentine's Day, you guys?
He wrote a speech, remember? I still have my card. Oh,
I do too.
Do you have yours right there?
I do.
Aww.
What does it say?
It says Joanne, and he spelled my name wrong with an E. Not surprised. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your personality and your friendship. And I got Cinderella.
Aw. Well, I think, you know, we can all agree that he is incredibly missed. And we still talk about him and share with our new employees his presence to this day. We'll never forget you, Scotty.
And I think the gift that we like share organically is knowing him, and that makes it so that much more meaningful.
Absolutely.
Lucky enough to be in his old office.
Yes. Yes, and he would be so proud, Joanne.
He's sitting at his desk right now. I still feel like it's his.
So,
you know, he was a really good person.
You guys had a nice special bond.
He's a great friend. And I remember we went to lunch a week before he passed away to the Reef, and just anywhere you go with Scott, he knew everybody. Everybody knew him and they loved him. He is the most inclusive, wonderful person I've ever met. And I'm almost sure I'll never meet anyone like him again in my life, but I'm so grateful I did. And I wish it would have been longer, but I appreciate the memories.
Well, let's cheers to that. Christy, you have your Christmas in a cup.
Oh, Christmas in a cup.
We love you, Scott.
Love you guys. Scott, we love you. We miss you. We know you're watching.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Hopefully he's not laughing at us.
Oh, for sure. You know that.
Pepper represents.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Horrible things for you.
No, they're not. They're not horrible things at all. So on day 3, there could be 2 things that we would have seen. I know the one would be on this sheet is 3 bags of Reese's, but the other one was 3 cowboy pizzas. And so we have 2. But this, I'm going to tell you, that picture that we just showed up at yeah, this is true. That is true. He loved these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was something like seriously, I don't want to say wrong, but it was like, you have an overabundance of love for Reese's peanut butter cups.
Well, growing up, they happened to be my mom's favorite. And so she would always have them. And then when Scotty was like,
he would.
I mean, we were probably 13, and Scott's like, these are the best things ever. And Mom's like, really? Because if you tell my mom you like anything, then she has to buy enough to last.
It magically appears all the
No,
time.
no. It's like nuclear winter magically appears all the time. So, like, they would come in. I'm like, Mom, this is from like 1988. And she's like, what? I'm like, this is not okay. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's so literally the second that he would walk in the house for probably 7, 8 years in a row, he would go straight to the cupboard and go straight for the Reese's, and then he would say hi to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it's good that later in life he at least got a little bit of like, he was a little more cordial because he would at least say hello while he was eating all our Reese's peanut butter cups because he, it worked out really well. My kids love them too, and so there was always stuff at our house, and he would just eat them.
I remember one time it was really funny. We're sitting in the kitchen at our house in Beach, and he came in, and my mom for some reason had gotten the smaller ones that are in the like gold wrapper, and Scott couldn't find the regular single size. That's what my mom got, was always the snack size ones, and my mom's like, they're in there. He's like, oh, okay. She's like, right there in that bag. He's like, okay, and he turns around and he's holding on to the little one. He's like, was there something wrong with like the out of the like regular snack size? And my mom looked at him like, what? He goes, I like the bigger ones. And my mom's like, Scott, you'll eat those ones.
Be happy with what we bought.
You eat all my Reese's peanut butter cups as it is.
It's free candy, damn it.
It was funny because he was kind of like, he'd become so accustomed to those that just always being there, and he was like, it kind of become his.
Well, sure. Right. You kind of screwed up the grocery order.
That's exactly right. That's kind of the look at. It was pretty funny.
That's probably where he taught me how to do like the mini ones. You open the mini one, eat one, put it in another mini one. You wrap it around that one.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Just keep going, and nobody knows you've had like 30. It's just
Right,
like I've only had a couple. It's just a big ball of Reese's peanut butter.
Foil.
Yeah, nobody get mad at you.
Well, if he did eat too many of those, then he'd be a little kind of tired, and he'd need to use his inhaler.
Exhausted.
And he'd be exhausted from eating the peanut butter cups. The inhaler was hilarious. He's like, I just need it. I'm like, really? You haven't done anything. What's up?
No, he rolled from one side of the couch to the other side of the couch. And he'd be like, I just need a puff.
Not really sure why, but okay, it worked for him. Made him feel better.
This isn't one of his prouder moments.
No, it's not actually.
As a track athlete, and someone who actually liked it, like in high school, he was proud of his ability to run a 400. This isn't one of his finer moments.
No.
He just got bad allergies. So when he moved to Portland, in Vegas he was fine, moved to Portland, and apparently Scott is allergic to everything in Portland, just period. And so I've never seen, like, from knowing him it was 30 years all in, but like he was so miserable, and I just felt so bad for him and they really couldn't fix it. So when he finally pulled the string and moved from Oregon back here, it was a good thing because he never got all the way back better, but
It became more seasonal.
Yeah, he went back to normal Scott allergies versus literally everything here is apparently meant to kill me.
Yeah.
So.
I like, was that picture just up, the one that, yeah. So this is hilarious. This is his Richard Simmons costume. And it's kind of funny that we ended up using that for the inhaler pups one.
Because he has
He has them in his hand.
Yeah, exactly. Because and that was actually taken in January of 19 for a costume party we went to in Austin, Texas. So.
Well, the inhaler puffs, another quick story. Like when you're water skiing, there's like ways to this faster, this is slower, this means you're done, or this means you're done. Or like double up. That's another thing that some of my friends will do. But Scott's was like, and so he'd fall down and he'd come back and he'd be like, and he'd like lean over the inhaler and he'd be like, and then put it back in the boat and he's like, I'm good. And then that was like another sign. People were like, what are you doing? He needs an inhaler puff. I'm gonna go get him. So it was just ridiculous. And like, really, it's become a thing now, this inhaler puff.
I think Scotty would be proud that he knows that we're making fun of his medical condition.
Yes, yes.
He totally
I
would.
really mean that.
I agree
Yes.
with you.
He made fun of everything about us. So
Right. And he never wasted a moment. He always made sure to get a jab in if he could. So
Do you have a nickname that's, relates to your weight?
I mean, Bucko 5 has been Bucko 5 forever.
I think you and I are going to be jealous about Bucko 5 for quite some time.
Yeah, not worried about that.
I finally let him have it one day. It's just like, really? You realize I've gained 60 pounds since then.
And Scott's like, oh, you're up to 129 pounds.
He's like, his favorite thing was 165. I weighed that in 6th grade. He made fun of me. It was good.
Well, we'll get down to the last day of Scottmas, which is bleached hair and a tongue ring.
How's the college years for you guys? Not so much for me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
That was some of the pictures we were showing early on.
One of him and Brian are better. And it wasn't that. It was he went, because he'd take the hoops out, but his dad was not a fan. So first he got his hoops, and Greg basically, my dad told him pretty much the same thing, but wear those over here and they might disappear out of your ears with your hair. So, which as a father, I can completely appreciate that sentiment. So, so Scott would he'd take his hoops out before he got home. He got a tongue ring, and for real, he got one the entire summer and hid it from his parents. The whole Greg and Jadine didn't know the entire summer. And I'm like, how do they not know? He's like, I just don't talk that much. I was like, so they think you're a mute now? I mean, someone that never shuts up. Now you just don't knock around your parents because you don't want them to see your tongue ring. So, yes, we went from, if you look at his senior pictures, clean cut athlete to apparently shoulder length, bleach blonde hair, 2 hoops, and a tongue ring. And the effect worked.
Yeah, I'm sure
Why
it did.
am I on the parents' side now? I feel weird that I'm on their side because I have a 16-year-old that makes bad decisions with their appearance.
I think we're all on the parents'
I think we're on the same page then too. Like, you don't look good. You should do.
Yeah,
it.
I don't think any of us agreed it was really a good look for him. I mean, it still worked apparently.
I mean, no, he wanted to be an outlier. He was an outlier.
Yeah. We were hand in hand at practice every day for 2 years, and I don't know if it helped me out or not, but I looked normal and he looked like that on the track team. And it's like,
well, you looked happy in the pictures.
No comment.
But Scotty would always push the envelope because it wasn't just that. That was also, we went down to Vegas and if Scott could buy a shirt that was the smallest shirt possible, we literally bought these guest shirts that didn't, the sleeve was to here. For his birthday, I bought him a full spandex zip-up shirt that literally was, it would fit Brian normally, and Scott's my size, right? And so, if he could wear anything that would just cut off all his circulation, then that's usually what he would wear back in those days. So,
good story about the whole arms and trying to show them off thing. That goes back to track. You guys may have heard this. Our first year, we had a jump coach named Zhang from China.
Do the impression.
No.
You used to do it all the time.
I'll carry a will when I say what he said to Scott. In the world of track and field, triple jumpers for the most part are tall and slender, and Scott was built more like a really good linebacker. He was, and he was a great football player in high school. It was probably his best sport in high school.
Yep.
But he just loved track. And Scott was a big guy. He was like 100. He was rolling around 190 pounds, and that's
lean too.
Lean 190. Well, that's not great for trying to triple jump. And so our Chinese coach Zhang was always telling us, Scott, you fat, and you need to run more. And he wasn't. He was just really big. He just didn't want Scott to be muscular. And Scott's favorite thing to do was, when the female athletes at the University were in the weight room with us, Scott loved to walk over to the dumbbell rack and get, he's really strong, so he could pull up like 60s and just pump out those 60-pound curls in front of the girls. And I remember, and it was like at the end of practice, we were done with our workout in the weight room for the day. Jane comes in and sees him and looks at him and goes, "Scott, you know why you bad?" He goes, "You not jump on your arms? You don't jump on your arms. You jump on your legs. But all you do is walk your arms." and it was he was proud of it. I mean, Scott, it was one thing that he was, curls for girls, and he said that more times than not.
Just so we're crystal clear, that's every gym he walked into, though.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like, "Oh, hey, you guys are, it's leg day? I'm the go over here." I'm like,
Yeah. Well, we have a few videos, I think, from some of the family, from some of his family, his dad and that. So we'll go ahead and play those, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Greg, I'm Scotty's dad. Just wanted to tell you a couple stories about him. You've probably heard some of these stories before. Scott was very content to have someone chauffeur him around, and so he wasn't really eager to get a driver's license. So finally we talked him into getting his driver's license, and then he got an old Honda car that he was driving around. And he came in one day and he says, "I wrecked the car." And I went out there and looked, and the whole front end was bashed in. I said, "Gee, Scott, how did this happen?" And he says, "You know that road closed sign that's down there just around the corner from where we live that has been there for 3 months?" And he drove past it every day when he came home. He says, my sunglasses fell down, so I reached over to get them, and I hit the sign." And he says, "You should have seen it, Dad." He says, "It was just like the movies. 2 befores were going up over the top of the car." So that was Scott.
Scott, he just lit up a room. When he come into the room, he'd light up the room. I loved talking with him. He'd come over and he'd talk to me about his girlfriends. And we had such a fun time because, he was, like some, didn't like some, but Scotty had a lot of girlfriends. And so we had fun, and I gave him some advice, whether it was good or bad. I don't know if he took it or not, but anyway, I miss him so much. Last time we went to this, every Christmas the family would get together and we'd go to a movie. And the Christmas before Scotty passed away, we went to see this movie. What was it called? The Mule. We went to see this movie called The Mule, and he sat by me and he said, "That's just Dad. That looks just like Dad and acts like Dad and everything." That was with Clint Eastwood and everything. And so I was a special, and he had popcorn. He says, "You want some popcorn?" And so we ate popcorn together, and it was just, I'm just thinking about the time, I had just recently with him, and I'll never have it again. And I know I'll see him again someday.
Hi, everybody. It wouldn't be Scottmas without a Blazer story. So, gonna share one of my favorite moments with Scotty. And what an awesome brother he is. So, we were headed into the stadium for a weekend game, and normally I sat with Scotty in his seats, and he's like, "Hey, we're not sitting together tonight." I'm like, "Oh, really? Why not?" He's like, "Oh, because you're sitting courtside." I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And he surprised me. So I got to headed down courtside, got to sit next to Deidre and Derek. We were right under the basket, next to the players. And it was, for anybody that knows me, that was like one of the greatest moments of my life. It was so amazing. And, the crazy thing is, I got to sit courtside, but Scotty never did. The one opportunity that he had to sit courtside, he gave me the tickets. And that's just the kind of person and wonderful brother that he was. So thanks again, Scotty, for just an amazing, amazing moment.
That guy, he
Love ya.
tickets.
I mean, honestly, that sums up really, I think, Scotty too, is that as much as he, you know, was a showman too, he'd give you the shirt off his back and do anything for you. I mean, he was an amazing guy that way. So I think that's a big reason why it was struck, as when we lost Scott, we were trying to figure out, you know, how do you honor a guy who was so great like that? And what do you do? And when you look at what he gave to everybody and what was important to him, it kind of made sense for us to put together a foundation that would help continually improve the lives of people in a way that he always tried to do. You know, he could try to coach, and as you know, as a track coach, Brian, and a coach, that's what you're working to do, and all he wanted to do is improve lives. And, you know, unfortunately, we lost him way too soon. But I think this is a way that we can continue to do and honor what he always tried to do.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of things that, let's be honest about it. Any of these kids in the future that are going to benefit from this will have never met him.
No.
They won't. And that's kind of, you know, interesting and hard to say at the same time. But through us and the rest of the family, everyone that was close to it, we can continue a legacy, continue a message, and here's the biggest thing about helping kids, because they're still kids, even when they become young adults and go to college and that type of stuff. You don't know where they are. You don't know where the family's decision is. I've had kids end up not going to college, not taking the scholarship for track, because they were just this close from needing what they needed. Like, you don't think about $1,000 being a big difference. But with some of the kids that Scott coached and I coach, it's the difference. Mom and dad are looking at what they've got budgeted for the next 3 months, and they're making a decision off of their budget because it's so tight, and they're like, you know what, we really can't pay for your tuition, so you need to stay home and work this semester, and we'll hope to get you there next semester. So you're going to have to tell coach that it's not going to happen. And I've had that story. Scott knew that story.
I met two kids that Scott coached. We just happened to walk around downtown. 2 different occasions, I met 2 kids that were that exact situation. They got partial scholarships, they didn't have enough money, and they didn't end up going to college.
And the thing is, if you
It
take
drove him crazy.
Yeah. If you take a semester off, you're not going to go next semester.
No.
You know? It's not going to happen.
The statistics are there, right? The longer that you push it out, the harder it is to get back into the process of being inside that, you know, collegiate system.
Well, you're not in shape as much. You're not in the whole groove of everything.
Absolutely.
Well, your goals change.
Right.
So I think that's, back to the legacy point though, Scott talked about legacy all the time, which, you know, he was definitely trying to imprint his, but it was super important. Didn't matter about money, didn't matter about anything else, but if he could leave his mark and inspire kids to be their best and help any way he could, then he'd do anything to do it.
I think Wade said it really well in the clip that Wade shared. You know, if there was a kid that couldn't afford something for the team that year, Scott would put his own money for it. The kid needed, and he coached an event that is, you know, certain equipment's necessary. Like having the right shoes as a triple jumper is really important. Yep. And he had a lot of kids at Boise High that, you know, didn't have the ability to go buy a $100 pair of event-specific shoes just so they stayed healthy for the year and all those other things. And Scott would take care of them. Or he'd come to me, he'd call me and be like, hey, do you got a old pair that you can hook me up with for my kid? Because, you know, I remember the one girl, she was really good. Her last name was Atoka. And she was phenomenal. She's the one that went to Oxnard, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, do you have a pair? I go, no. I've looked through all those sizes. I don't have that size. And he's like, all right, I'll figure it out.
And he did that. In many years he did that. He actually didn't have the extra money to do it.
Right.
He
Sure.
sacrificed.
Right.
You know, and that's why I think it's so important for us to be able to put this together and continue this on, to be able to help kids fulfill their dreams of being able to go to college on a scholarship and do what they love.
And the easy part is that this isn't going to be hard to fulfill.
No.
This isn't going to be hard to fulfill. With the connections we have, getting around to finding the kids, all it is going to be, it's so easy on their end. It's an application. It'll be so simple. There's some GPA requirements that they're going to need to be. We need to know that they're going to college already with a partial and that they need something to finish it out. And it's going to be simple. It's not hard. It's so simple. It's one of the easiest scholarship things that a kid can fill out for, as opposed to everything, all the paperwork they got to do for school, other really large scholarships that they have to apply for. Got to give all your parents. We're not asking for any of that stuff.
Right.
We don't need to see parents' financials. We don't need to see anything like that. Just really, really simple. Where are you going? What's your scholarship situation? What's your GPA? Letter of recommendation from your coach.
And a couple others, and yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and done. I mean, that's what we're looking at. And it's going to be a great thing. I've already shared it with a lot of my colleagues, and they're so thrilled, because really, there's something that's not really out there right now in our community. You would think there is, but there's not. Something that's this simple, and it's going to make a difference on, every year a handful of kids. It's going to really make a difference.
Yeah, and we can continue that impact that he always tried to have.
Absolutely.
We got a couple other videos from family about why the foundation is so important to them, and we'll go ahead and show those now too, and then we'll come and wrap this party up.
Scottmas. I think one of the happiest moments for Scotty was when he got the opportunity to coach for Boise High, coach their jump squad, and he just loved working with kids and helping them reach their full potential, and just passing on his knowledge and love of the sport, and just being around the excitement and the competition. And I think it started with the coaches in his life that always made such a big impact on him growing up. I got to, when I was living in Portland, when he was coaching, they had, I got to drive up for the track meet in Bend, and it was just so fun to see him so happy and just in his element, again, just the happiest that I've seen him. So I know that, this scholarship fund would mean a lot to him, and it's absolutely the best way to remember him. And anything we can do to help kids with school and sports, I definitely think is just an awesome way to remember him.
Most of my favorite memories of Scott are of him sharing the good in his life. He would call me when he was driving somewhere and tell me about how great his high school student track stars were doing, his jumpers were doing, about the amazing people in his life, or a great book that he just finished reading. Scott always challenged himself and wanted to share the joy that he'd found. More than once, I would found myself in a restaurant across the table from Scott where he'd unscrewed the light bulb, and so it was a little bit dark, and he was trying to convince me that rare steak was better than well-done steak. As he put it when he'd order, wipe its nose, slap its butt, put it on a plate, and bring it out. I think Scott found the good in the world, and he wanted to share it with other people. Scott Esplin Foundation is about helping reward young people who have Scott's striving spirit so that they can find and accomplish the goals they have for their own lives. If you're considering donating to the Scott Esplin Foundation, our donors change lives in communities right where we live with the students that are available. Thank you.
No, that's great. Those videos just sum it up really well. And we couldn't think of anything better to do to honor Scott than to have a foundation that would continue on everything he truly loved to do, and the impact that he was trying to make while he was with us. And I know that all of us, we really don't care if he likes this or not, but we think he'd be proud about it.
Yes.
That's how we'd feel about it if he was here. So we're going to say that now. So, but I think honestly, he'd be overwhelmed with the impact.
He'd be embarrassed a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
His initial emotional reaction would be embarrassment.
He's so selfless.
He is.
Totally.
But then I think in a private moment, and after maybe a couple cocktails, he'd be really, really happy that this is happening. He'd be overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed and honored, and yeah. But still, it would still go to, it should be about somebody else and not him.
Right.
No, always.
Unless there were girls. So I couldn't resist. Sorry. So we're gonna wrap something. We're gonna wrap this up, and I think that we can't do the 12 Days of Scottmas without actually doing a really bad job of singing the 12 Days of Scottmas. We are gonna do this. We have it in front of us. We're gonna do what we can.
Just when you thought the night was so close to
I
just
know.
fantastic.
I mean, if we would have hit our goal of 25, if we would have hit our goal of 25,000, we wouldn't have to do this. But I think we have to do this now because we didn't.
How many people are watching right now?
16, I think.
All right.
You're 16. All
That's
right.
not so
So
bad.
the only thing is it'll be recorded for people to watch forever. So that'll be all right.
Posterity.
I love you, Mom.
I know Scott would be super proud of this as well. So, and here we go. On the 12th day of Scottmas, our Scotty gave to we 12 drinkers drinking, 11 lost golf balls, 10 tar heels healing, 9 pink panties, 8 months with alopecia, 7 weeks of jumping, 6 months and a booting, 5 golden naps. 4 Gator Zeros, 3 Cowboy Slices, 2 Inhaler Puffs, and a bleached hair and a tongue ring.
That was kind of on point.
It was kind of on point. We kind of kicked the task.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yes, and there you have the inaugural Scott Esplin Memorial Foundation
12 Days of Scottmas.
Yes.
Which we will do every year. And hopefully if we can kick COVID out, we'll have a golf tournament this summer for Scott as well and the foundation. And we'll come back with Scottmas. Corey, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, bartender. I had a great time, guys. I mean, it's always fun to hang out with you guys, but it's even awesome for this. So thank you. I'm glad we could put it all together.
Yep. No problem.
So, all right, and for Scott, and I think, we're drinking. We got to give a toast to Scotty. So, to Scotty.
To Scotty.
All right. We love you, Scotty.
Love you, brother.
Yep.
And we got an hour left. We're going to close the auction at 9 o'clock. There's still some really great stuff. As you know, now it all goes to a great place. In spite of all of us, it goes to a really great place. And help the kids out. And we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.